Okay. Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining the Rapido monthly update. Today's update is the June 2024 update. My name is Megan Weldon, and I'm Rapido product manager at Exlibris, part of Claravit. Today's session will follow our familiar format. First, topics of the Rapido community, followed by release highlights for the upcoming month, which would be the July release. We'll touch on a frequently asked questions, a couple questions today, and then spend a few moments with any questions that you bring forward today as well. Okay, our first topic of Rapido community. There are quite a few highlights to share today, so excited to get started. The first highlight is to say welcome to all of these libraries who have joined the Rapido community by going live with Rapido in June. We have Drew University and 5 different libraries from the University of Wisconsin system. That is University of Wisconsin Oshkosh, River Falls, Eau Claire, Stevens Point, and Green Bay. So welcome to these libraries, and we welcome the growth in the resource sharing community. I wanted to do a special highlight to welcome Drew University to the Rapido community. Drew University, and a welcome and express gratitude for being great partners. They're the first library using Folio to go live with Rapido, and they've been essential partners and great collaborators in making this process happen. Another highlight that I wanted to share with you for the community this month is our team had some great conversations with some of the leadership members in the Rapido and Rapid ILL working groups. And those conversations resulted in an article published in the library journal. So thank you to Kip, Chris, and Drew for your participation and sharing your insights with us. We really appreciate that. And it resulted in a really nice article for you to read. I will link it out to you at the end of this session so you all can check out what they shared and the sentiments that they expressed about the resource sharing community today. Another great story that we have to share with you is from East Tennessee State University. So thanks to the colleagues there who worked with us to share their story and speak to Rapido with their library. So they implemented Rapido to address a challenge at their institution, and that challenge related to costs and the budget at their institution. So with Rapido, they were able to decrease spending without downgrading their user experience. They found a 40% cost reduction for their resource sharing software expenses, and they report a 99% borrowing filled rate for digital items filled with their Rapido partners. Additional part of their story is they speak really nicely to the staff experience as well as the user experience. Such a bump in their user statistics as far as the resource sharing requests, and it can be partially attributed to the improved user experience. So they have 264% increase in borrowing physical requests format and over 100% increase in borrowing digital since their change to Rapido. And again, I'll also link to this story so you can check it out for yourselves, and feel free to share those stories with others who are interested in reading about the experiences from Rapido libraries. And then I'll do another plug here to say if you haven't worked with us and are interested in sharing your Rapido story, let's connect. We'd love to help promote your story so that it's available for other libraries to hear as well. Another Rapido story took place at the ANSRIG virtual conference. So thank you to the folks at Charles Sturt University. I'm excited to watch the recording at the story that you told at that conference. And you presented how Rapido has impacted your library. So that'll be another user story to look out for and see how Rapido has impacted their user experience and staff experience at their library. Another important topic for our community this month. You've been seeing it across the Rapido listserv, and if you haven't, I hope this helps you. And I have also linked to the Rapido listserv at the end of our session today so you can get connected to the community in that way. But you'll have seen calls from your Rapido and Rapid ILL working groups to submit enhancements. This process was colloquially referred to as the NERS process in the past, so you might see a reference in that way, but really it's the enhancement process for submitting your ideas and requests to make it into the roadmap for Ex Libris products. The community submits these ideas by following the format. Community then votes on those ideas, and we work with with the community and the working groups on those ideas that get voted forward. There is a new process for submitting the enhancements this year, or rather, it's a new platform that the working group is using. And Lori Hilterbrand has kindly stepped forward as a point of contact if you're needing some support in navigating that new process. Um, Essentially, you're going to be describing your enhancement, describing what workflows it impacts, if it's a patron experience, so what part of the process, and add use cases to help us build an understanding and help your community see what you're speaking to and what you're hoping to achieve with this enhancement. Directly from the listserv, here's a screenshot here with the announcement that the enhancement deadline for submitting those great ideas is July 1st. And the working groups will then be reviewing those ideas. Then they'll bring those to our Ex Libris team to work with, and then you will have your first round of voting. Oh, sorry, got those mixed up there. You'll submit the ideas, you'll have a round of voting, bring it back to Ex Libris, and there's a back and forth conversation. And then the clarity of those votes will come forward and let you know which of those enhancements make it into the roadmap for the next year. One other important point is its process is open to any Luna or Igloo member institutions. So that is an important factor for engaging with this process. And your community has put together some different resources for you to refer to if you're unfamiliar with participating in this process. Okay, next part of our webinar here is going to be speaking to the developments that you'll see with the July release. These are a couple of the highlights that you can expect to see coming forward with the July release. The first one being in the flavor of Optimize, with the new integration with Rialto. So if you're using Rialto today, happy to announce that in the July release, you will have a nice integration with Rapido and Rialto. If you're not yet using Rialto, it could be a point for consideration, as there will be a nice integration with Rapido, which is a solution you already are using today, to support efficient engagement with the marketplace for acquiring items at your library. So with Rialto and the integration with Rialto into Rapido, we're supporting libraries' ease of use of ordering their materials. So you can use Rialto to order maybe highly requested titles that you want to buy instead of borrow, or maybe you want to use it to fill a need that none of your partner libraries can meet, or you might have your own decisions that inform why you won't want to go through this process of acquiring the item. But now you'll have this option with this integration. So what's new here? From Rapido, you'll see this new action called Search in Market. It's in your actions list that you're familiar with. And the Search in Market will automatically populate a search screen for you to see, for you to browse the different Rialto Marketplace results. And it will link to that borrowing request. So let's take a step further and learn a little bit more about this action search and market. So the action will be visible on your requests if the request is for a book, if the request format is physical, and if your library is using Rialto. If you're not using Rialto, you won't see this action in your menu. Additionally, staff will need to have their user roles that they have today for working in Rapido, and they will need an appropriate Rialto user role. And any of the Rialto user roles will allow that search and market function. So this is what this kind of integration will look like once you have selected that search and market action from the Rapido request. That marketplace screen opens up with the various listings there that you can engage with and review the details of. On the right-hand side, you'll see that resource sharing request information, so you don't have to toggle back and forth between the marketplace view and your request. You have those request details visible to you from within that marketplace view. Additionally, there are other parameters that you can search in the marketplace. So the last example was a title search, and this example is an ISBN search. So you have some options there for refining your inquiry into the marketplace. Once you've made your selection, you can link and add to cart. Once you've added it to your cart, this is the view of the shopping cart here. You'll see that the item has that resource sharing badge on it to show that it's connected from that request. Additionally, you can choose to close the borrowing request or keep it open, and there are other decisions that you can make in the shopping cart view. I think the decisions that are important to the resource sharing request workflow or if you are choosing to keep it close the request or to keep the request open or close the request. Closed requests are canceled by staff. And the kind of thought process or expectation in this scenario is your user will then be getting the copy or their request need their resource sharing request need filled instead by that copy that your library is acquiring. So it's no longer going to be in that resource sharing pathway. It'll be through a local physical item at your library. There are a few statuses that if the request is at one of these statuses, the request cannot be closed. Alternatively, you can keep the request open, and open requests will be going on to their partners. So, in following the usual resource sharing pathways. So perhaps you have decided to acquire the item through the Rialto Marketplace, but you're going to get your local users' need met through your resource sharing partnerships, and you would choose to keep the request open. All right, so we previously saw what it looked like in the Rialto Marketplace view, and I just wanted to show you what it would look like in your borrowing request view. So adding it to your Rialto cart does not change the request status. Here we can still see the request is at ready to be sent. Maybe I'm working on this request from my mediation set. But something for you to know is you do see that in Rialto cart badge. As it updates in that lifecycle in Rialto, that badge will update. Those values could be in Rialto cart, purchased in Rialto, or rejected by Rialto. So you have that information visible to you from the borrowing request, but the request status does not change. I anticipate there may be some more questions specific to Rialto or more curiosity now about Rialto, linking you to the documentation as well as a contact from one of my colleagues, Amy Copeland, who can speak to you more about the specifics from the Rialto end of this development. And as I anticipate you might have some questions about what else is coming? I wanted to let you know, not in this release, but in an upcoming release, those badges of in Rialto cart, purchased in Rialto, and rejected by Rialto will become set facets. So if you want to create sets to support organizing your workflows based on those badges, that's coming down the road here. And additionally, these badges will also be available in analytics for you to run or add to your analytics reports if you wish. Okay, the next development is relating to connections. So some libraries are using APIs to make connections. Something that has been added to the APIs is a shipping date field. So it's now supported with within the Rapido APIs. You have this field now available to you. Additionally, it's been added to the request view. So on that right-hand side of the request, as you have all of the request details, you'll now see the shipping date field visible to you there. Okay, a few frequently asked questions for us to work through today. Recently, there's been some inquiry. I think it's in part the time of year, but how do I find out how much I am borrowing, how much I'm lending, perhaps how that has changed? Maybe you have other questions about analytics too, and I suggest looking into Rapido out-of-the-box reports. You will need an appropriate user role to be able to engage with analytics. There are a few different roles that might be suitable for you and for you to have conversations with or about your library. So that you can design analytics with a certain scope, or have an analytics administrator role to engage with the reports. The pathway for finding these out-of-the-box reports is once you're in analytics, there's a catalog button. From there, you'll find a shared folders, and there is a shared folder completely dedicated to Rapido where you'll see data visualizations, dashboards, reports, and widgets. You can use the existing reports as they are, or you can modify them if they aren't quite answering the question that you're asking, or if you just want to take a slightly different view from the reports that are there. And just like you're familiar with Alma today, you can build your own reports if interested. If you have questions about analytics or using Rapido out-of-the-box reports, I'm happy to connect with you and your library about them so that we can get your questions answered together through your analytics at your library. Another question that came up really related to the release from last month. So last month we added a functionality called Request It. Folks liked this functionality or liked this feature. This feature, if enabled, creates a bookmark that can be added from the user's library card, and once added to their browser, if they're in Amazon performing a search there, they can select the bookmark and then it will automatically populate the blank form with that Amazon search result information so that your users can submit the request. Folks were interested in this process or interested in this functionality, but there was particular interest to be able to maybe promote it with certain users of your community, or limit it to certain users of your community. And so means to kind of engage with this functionality in that way is if you do enable this functionality, because by default it is not enabled, so you would set it to true in the configuration within other settings. Once enabled, you can grab the bookmark link and you can share it with whomever you want to be promoting this functionality with. After you've grabbed that link, you can disable it if you want to, or leave it enabled for other users to find. It's your choice. Disabling it will not stop this functionality from working. It just stops it from being visible to your end users in their library cards. So that's a choice that you can make at your institution. Just kind of a review of overall what this might look like is if you do enable this bookmark and your end user is in Amazon searching a book, if they select the bookmark, it will pull that information into the request so they can just hit that nice submit request button. A few notes about the bookmark and the form it's used. It's not a new form to configure. It's the same resource sharing request form that you have enabled at your library. The form is the same as your blank form. All of the fields will be populated as such. If you've changed the labels on that form, if you've changed mandatory fields on that form, it will be the same, so you won't need to make changes. If your users don't have access to that blank form, then they won't have access to this. So it's all scoped already to align with your settings and expectations for your blank form at your library, the way you use it today. Okay, so we covered a lot of different topics. I referenced that I would share some links with you, so I'll put those into the chat and then spend a few moments with you on any questions that you've shared today. And then, as always, thank you for your time here with me today. And if you have follow-up that I don't address in our question session today, or if things come to mind and you want to connect, please reach out. I'm happy to engage with you on your questions and support you with your use of Rapido. So I am going to stop sharing so it's a bit easier to see the chat and get the links to you. All right, putting into the chat the links here as promised. So you have those different resources to link out to. And if you need them emailed to you, please just reach out and we can follow up that way. Okay, I see questions about the user roles related to the Rialto Rapido integration. So to clarify, your library will be needing to use Rialto in order to now see this new search in market action, and the staff will need to have one of the relevant Rialto roles in order to have that action visible to them. So if there are staff that will not be involved in searching the market, they do not have the Rialto roles, they will not see that action. If you have staff that should be able to search the market, then any of the Rialto roles will give them that option. I see a comment, excited about the Rialto functionality. We are too. I'm excited to hear about your use of this functionality and see it in use with all of you. Okay, and then Mark, I'm seeing your question about the API. I'm going to need to follow up with you on that one directly to be able to provide you the most appropriate answer. And then I see a clarification question again about the Rialto Marketplace integration. At this time, yes, the request has to be for a physical request and it has to be for a book request for searching in the Rialto Marketplace action to be available to you. I see a question about the difference between badges and labels. So labels are familiar to you today. You have labels that can be automatically applied via your mediation rules or via your copyright rules. They can be added by staff. These are badges that are added by the integration with Rialto, and they will become new set parameters available to you in an upcoming release, and they will be new parameters in analytics as well, or new variables in analytics as well. Okay. I, from my end, it's looking like I have gotten through your various questions. If there's anything outstanding from today that I have not addressed, or anything that comes up at a later time that you'd like to connect about regarding your use of Rapido, please reach out, and happy to work with you via email or set up a call so that we can connect and work through your inquiries. So throwing my email into the chat as the final thing there. Thank you all for your time today.